Americans today, including most Christians and conservatives, know almost nothing about America's founding principles. Almost nothing. Nothing. So I thought to myself, I have preached from this pulpit in many, many messages. Go online. All of our sermons are archived online. You can watch them for yourself. Some of them we have made unique DVDs, like this one from Jonas Clark that I talked about, Destruction. Those we have in our store that we've made unique DVDs of. The rest of them you can obtain, any of them that you want, by going to the store and purchasing a copy. I have spent hundreds of hours extrapolating and exegeting the scriptural principles of liberty, the natural law principles of liberty, the constitutional principles of liberty. I have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in front of this fellowship telling you the principles of our great country and how those principles formed and shaped our country and our form of government, and everything we hold dear is a result of those principles. Well, am I going to go back and regurgitate again all these things? I thought, I'm gonna borrow from Jeff Foxworthy. I'm going to do it this way. Jeff came up with a real winner that's been mimicked by just about every entertainer ever since. So I thought, to communicate these founding principles to you in simple terms, not taking the multiple hours that would be necessary at this point to try and build a foundation for these principles, I'm simply going to give it to you this way. You might understand America's founding fathers if, you ready for this? Sorry, Jeff, I know this is a bad caricature of your genius work, but you might understand America's founding principles if, and I've got 20 points, and they'll go pretty fast. Are you ready? You might understand America's founding principles if you believe that every congressman, senator, president, and judge is required to obey the U.S. Constitution. If you believe that, you might understand the founding principles of America. You might understand America's founding principles if you believe that before the United States invades and occupies another country, Congress must first declare war. Maybe you understand. If you believe the federal government should live within its means like everyone else is forced to do, you might understand. Number 4, if you think that taking away people's liberties in the name of security is not patriotic, nor does it make the country more secure, you might understand America's founding principles. By the way, you should know that I wrote this in 2009. 2009, I wrote this. So that number 4 was not just written. Number 5, You might understand America's founding principles if you would like to see politicians be required to abide by the same laws they make everybody else submit to. You might understand. Number 6, you might understand our founding principles if you understand that we have 3 separate but equal branches of government that are supposed to hold each other in check and balance. You might understand. Number 7, if you believe the federal government has no authority to be involved in education or law enforcement or in any other issue that the 10th Amendment reserves to the states or to the people, you might understand. Number 8, you might understand America's founding principles if you believe that gun control laws do nothing but aid and abet criminals while trampling the rights and freedoms of law-abiding citizens. Number 9, you might understand if you believe that the income tax is both unconstitutional and immoral, and along with the IRS and the Federal Reserve should be abolished. If you understand that, you might get it. Number 10, if you believe that the United States should get out of the United Nations and get the United Nations out of the United States, you might understand. If you believe that the federal government should honor its commitments to America's veterans and stop using U.S. military personnel as guinea pigs for testing drugs and chemicals, you might understand. And now, with all this COVID nonsense, they're not only going to be experimenting on military personnel, they're going to be experimenting on the American public very, real soon. Number 12, if you believe the U.S. troops should never serve under foreign commanders or wear the uniform or insignia of the United Nations, and that they must never submit to illegal orders such as turning their weapons against American citizens or confiscating the guns of the U.S. citizens, you might understand our founding principles. Again, written in 2009. If you believe that the federal government has no business bribing churches and faith-based organizations with federal tax dollars, you might understand America's founding principles. Here's one that hopefully many of us can identify with. If you can't, I don't know if there's any hope for you. Number 14, if you would like to see congressmen and senators be required to actually read a bill before they pass it, you might understand. Number 15, you might understand America's founding principles if you understand that it is the job of government to protect and secure God-given rights, not use its power to take those rights away. Are you getting it? Number 16, if you understand that there is nothing unconstitutional about the public acknowledgement of God and our Christian heritage, you might understand. Number 17, if you believe that government bailouts and stimulus expenditures, again, 2009, if you believe that government bailouts and stimulus expenditures defy virtually every principle of free enterprise and are a flagrant leap into socialism, you might understand America's founding principles. Number 18, if you are personally determined, again, this is written in 2009, I'm reminding you again, if you are personally determined to not submit to any kind of forced vaccination, you might understand America's principles. Alan Dershowitz, Harvard law professor, said a few days ago that the government had the power to come by force and take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm if you refuse to take a vaccination. That's what Mr. Dershowitz said. Mr. Dershowitz, my response to you is this. I hope you, sir, are the man who comes and tries to force a needle into my arm. Come on. Two more. Number 19, you might understand America's founding principles if you believe that U.S. troops are not the world's policemen, that they are not nation builders, and that their purpose is only to defend American lives and property, not to be enforcement arm of an international commercial interest of global elitists. You might understand. And last but not least, you might understand America's founding principles if you oppose sending billions of taxpayer dollars as foreign aid, the U.S. State Department meddling into the private affairs of foreign countries, and ubiquitous foreign entanglements that require vast sums of money, create animosity and hostility towards us, and expose us to foreign wars and conflicts in which we have no national interest. If you understand those things, you might understand America's founding principles. How's that for instruction on the founding principles?